So the first episode of Geats was pretty good, but should you watch it? Let's see, Kezza, Henshin. Now, as mentioned before, the first episode of Geats was released this past weekend, and it's taken the Toku world by storm. A lot happens in it. So let's go through the episode talking about things I've noticed and also theories for the future of this series. Watch through it with me and let's discuss where this could possibly go, because at this point, it could be anywhere. We start with a typical movie logo background, the waves crashing on the shore with snow falling down, and we see a man, Ace, tossing a coin. Flipping a coin which has Caesar on it. This seems like a very pivotal detail that will come to be very important later on as it's shown slowed down. This coin refers to Julius Caesar, described as former Roman dictator, famous for taking power through what Wikipedia describes as ambitious political reforms, and of course for his assassination where he was poked 23 times with a very sharp pointy stick. Could Ace here be evil too, or is it just an heirloom? We shall see. The coin toss is also interesting, as a coin toss is considered to be all about fate, letting fate drive your next action by either landing on heads or tails. But Ace, being as confident as he seems, does not show us the coin's outcome, but knows that he will be chosen as the next Kamen Rider. The gift of foresight? Or an insider who knows the way? Sumari brings him the Boko box with ID and driver inside, congratulating him on his new position as Kamen Rider. We get a cool logo and are given a preview of the Temple of Desire. Then we pop into Keiwa's interview. You can see he just wants to help people, do the best he can, and ultimately just wants world peace. But this comes off as naive and childish. He's just a nugget of sunshine and I want him to be safe, but life will have other plans, I'm sure. Also, a question for the Japanese audience. Do they do all job interviews like this? Like in front of everyone and almost competing for the best answer? How judgmental, how awful. Reminds me of my auditions, sheesh. Back at the Temple of Desire, we see a slightly dark scenario if you think about it. We see a screen with what I can only assume is a scoreboard of all the players in this battle royale, and a lot of losses. How many people have lost or died in this game? But it's Fortnite, right? Like, it's just a game, right? If we pause it here, we can actually see the other animal rider themes we could have had. A shark, a horse, more cats like leopards, lions and bobcats, an elephant, peacock, giraffe, frog, cow maybe. If you see any more animals, then let me know. The remaining lit up and alive are the kitsune or fox, buffalo, and polar bear with their names and scores shown. They mention this god of desire, who will be announced once one of them wins, the one to change the world as they see fit. But this seems more culty. There are 3 of them in hooded robe-like coats. How creepy. Again, talking about fate, Keiwa cries over the phone to his sister over the botched interview, and she says she will treat him to food. That's nice of her. Wait, someone being nice? Something bad's gonna happen to them. And as I thought, she says the final words. If the world was ending, what would be your last meal? She's jinxed it, everyone. It's her fault. Well done, I hope you're proud. And for his final meal, Keiwa chooses the Tanuki soba. How ironic. We are then introduced to Neon, who is currently streaming and is confronted by 2 fans and her 2 bodyguards to take her home. You win some, you lose some, I guess. Keiwa's sister, who is watching the stream with Keiwa, suddenly gets surprised by an invisible force field or wall that suddenly appears. It's like the Simpsons movie. They can't get to the other side to save each other as Sarah cries out to Keiwa when the Jamato, this season's villains, comes in and kills the chef and hurts Keiwa. Talking about the Jamato, they seem to sing or hum when they attack and are dressed in red and white traditional wear, which is interesting as this reminds me of Japanese shamans. Japanese cultural lesson. The shaman are people who are bridges between the spiritual and human world, known to be in trances, humming to themselves, predicting the future, communicating with passed on ancestors, and much more. This connects with the idea of fates, futures, and spirits, and the Jamato in Geats could be a reverse shaman, looking like the alien from, Alien, and causing destruction instead of spiritual healing. Lesson over. Something to think about, huh? Could they be something from this game? Or an alien force coming to invade? We don't necessarily know the source of this enemy just yet. Anyway, back to traumatic sibling separation, Keiwa runs for safety, bumping into a runaway Neon who just experienced the slaughter of many of those around her, including the brave but stupid bodyguards of hers who covered her escape. Whose daughter even is she? I bet that's going to be a reveal, isn't it? Another point I want to make here is the use of non-Japanese actors. This trope is usually weird to see and experience, as the way we in the Western world act or behave is so different to how Japanese people act on TV and films. If you want a better explanation, I could do a video later on explaining the differences. But for now, I'll just say this. Normally, it feels alienating or clunky, like in Revice with Sakura and her friend. However, here it feels kind of natural, so I was impressed. But I want to point something out. If I had the chance to be in a Super Sentai show, I would do it, and I don't even care. If I look cheesy or clunky, I would still do it. Back to the traumatic duo. Neon and Keiwa, who are now hiding, are surprised when they are ambushed. And what Neon decides to do to check if it's not a dream is to pinch Keiwa. I don't think it works like that, hun, but funny nonetheless. Panda-chan, Kamen Rider Shiro, comes in to save them with arrows ablazing, looking cool. Kamen Rider Buffer punches through a wall with his chainsaw, looking epic. And that walk away from explosion shot, beautiful. But no Kitsune in sight. The score system changes on their phone as Buffer takes the lead, and Ace watches on with a coffee in hand, saying it's time to go, and just drives off the side of the platform. YOLO, I guess. Shiro brings Neon and Keiwa to safety and untransforms to explain the situation. But Buffer joins this meet and greet and accuses the polar bear of just doing it for the points. This is an interesting concept. Are humans here just ways of getting points? Wow, I feel so unimportant right now. Buffer announces the world is ending. What a way to put it lightly. And then the icing on the cake, a fortress comes along. The fortress, a sort of end boss for each level, starts the advance, with vines a swinging, and Shiro takes the impact and disintegrates. Okay, people may die here. Buffer, pleased there is one less opponent, walks away to fight again, leaving Neon and Keiwa to fend for themselves. And as they look upon their crumbling city they once called home, Neon falls through the rubble. Keiwa valiantly goes to grab her hand and misses, but Ace on his bike is there just in time to grab her. Once safe on the ground and Keiwa catches up with the pair, Ace says that they should forget this world, and then starts casually flirting with Neon. Ew, not the priority. However, Keiwa, while Ace is flirting with Neon, has a moment of absolute fear, realizing the world he's worked so hard to be a part of is being destroyed. He realizes how broken it is and falls to weakness and fear. But Ace continues this by saying, "Let's end this life then and fight for another one." Having said his piece, he goes to confront the army of Jamato. Wait, it's not Jamato? It's Jayamato? Wait, did my dyslexia get me again? Ugh. Sorry, everyone. He transforms, and honestly, this transformation is beautiful. And he continues to beat their asses. Spider-Man who? Loved this gunfight, by the way, as they burn in a blaze of glory, and sniper mode activates when the fortress comes to attack again. Wow, this really is Fortnite, isn't it? He calls his gun Baby, okay, and shoots up in his bike to attack, and is, eaten. In that moment of utter confusion, the Geats brings down the fortress, riding his bike through the hallways, and all this fight has me thinking is of that weird house in Demon Slayer. He goes supersonic speed on them and zooms out as it falls. Goes to change around the powers from top to bottom and, wait a second. I predicted this by complete accident. Look here, I did an animation of how it would change from boost to magnum and magnum to boost, and I'm actually impressed. They literally turn sideways and pop out the other end. I am psychic, accidentally. For some reason, we get some Bond music playing in the back as Keiwa hugs in such an anime way, as Geats uses his boost time attack with the Kitsune bike ready for this year's Rider Kick, Magnum Boost Grand Victory. And what can I say that it's definitely an epic one. With the Kitsune spirit flying with him, that was very O's of you. Also, yes, I almost said Victory Royale. The mission is cleared and Buffer does not look happy as Geats shoots up to the top of the scoreboard. And we see a man in a white and black mask, in a hood, almost like Obi-Wan mixed with K2SO for those Rogue fans out there. What a mysterious gentleman. Sumari announces we have a new God of Desire, and as Ace goes to walk off, Keiwa demands his name. Ace, acting cool, replies, "Kamen Rider Geats." And after this weird freeze pose thing, Boost shoots out of the side, Ace untransforms and leaves a very confused Keiwa behind. The world around him starts to rebuild, and almost like it was all a dream, Keiwa wakes up baffled by his dream that he suddenly can't remember. Keiwa decides what's best to do is have food again from the same place, and we see that the chef who was sliced and diced the day before is fine and alive. How strange, and even stranger, Sumari comes in with a box and announces, "You're the next Kamen Rider." In an awesome and trippy montage, we see she has probably done this thousands of times with other random civilians in the area, including Buffer and Neon, who, same as Keiwa, touches the ID and suddenly remembers everything. Final shot we see is Ace overlooking the city, dressed in normal clothes with the Caesar coin again, flipping it while saying, "Welcome to his world." How creepy for a last shot, but what an interesting Kamen Rider we have our hands on. I think what's best is to just go straight into my theories. As you know, I love my theories, as well as comments I want to point out, so let's dig in. So a quick one on the people that Sumari uses as contestants or Kamen Riders. As seen here, she has used and tested many riders, and that must be a lot of people, but almost all have died or lost the game. Damn it, I lost the game. If you know, you know. However, once they are defeated, let's say, they seem to disintegrate. What happens to them? Are they dead, or have they just returned to their original jobs and lives that they lived before? Because if not, that's a lot of people in the city just missing, and surely they will run out eventually. Also, just a mini comment on this, how long have Geats, Shiro and Buffer known each other for? As they seemed pretty knowledgeable about each other's habits of stealing kills and have fought till the last 3. How long have the games been going on for? As it's interesting to see riders who are already established and knowledgeable of their powers. Also, if this is a competition with no worries about civilian deaths, property damage as it gets reset after each match, and points are all that matter, that means riders may have killed each other to get the numbers down, unless there is a demotion for this act. But still, the idea of saving someone doesn't really matter, as they get revived the next day must mess with you mentally. Seeing your family and friends die but alive the next day, that life isn't stable and the laws of physics are fucked. That would boggle my brain, and the concept of life and death is associated forever. Also, another mini comment to think about here, Keiwa's sister is not seen or mentioned again after Keiwa runs away. What happened to her? Did she join the team too? Maybe died? And has been forgotten? Food for thought. This was brought to my attention by KingSparkle03 in my Discord. Thank you. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I want to bring the conversation of Ace as a character and how weirdly self-absorbed and confident he is. I theorize he will play a bit of a dictator role, not the hero we think he will be, as he could be someone who wins many games and wishes many worlds. Or he's the game master, or he is the owner of the game itself. He seems to know how it works and almost cheats it by going for the fortress. Reasons for this, you may ask? Mainly it's the coin with Caesar's name on it. The makers of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai are clever and always add many hints they want you to see, especially in the handoffs and when a new character is introduced at the end or at the start of a season. And the first thing we see in this episode is the cold landscape and the coin, with the powerful dictator Julius Caesar on it. Why would this be the first thing they want us to see? Unless, as mentioned before, it's an heirloom or a clue. He also, when confronted with a rider driver, says he knows that he is the next rider, almost talking to an AI with how blasé he is about it all. Me also using this to point out that I think Sumari is an AI or program made alongside with the games, the Desire Temple, and the powers. And finally, my last and ultimate theory. You must know I have had to control myself from saying it till now, but you have to admit it. This is a simulation or something similar. Come on, my theory with Dom Brothers is also relevant here? It's like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai are connected! A digital world with a human world, wishes that lead to absolute changes that no one remembers, and powers that help defeat weird round-headed minions? Come on. But ultimately, I think this is such a great start to a mysterious and confusing world. It's introduced things slowly and sprinkled in moments of intrigue, confused me to heck, and has me wanting more and more. This world is remarkable, the concept of death, the Desire Grand Prix, and all the lost riders. I can imagine that maybe at the end of the season we'll have all 100 riders again. Talking about Sentai though, this reminds me of how I felt with Dom Brothers. Originally, I was unmotivated to watch a new Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, but watching Dom Brothers and now Geats, I am unable to look away and confused at every turn. And I think both are going to be incredible. Now, to catch up with Dom Brothers, I guess. Don't mind me. Anyway, here's to a remarkable new world, Kamen Rider Geats. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I hope you guys are as hyped as I am. I'll chat to you next time. Kezza, Henshin, matane.